My name is Guy Kesteven. I've been testing the world's best bikes for 20 years. Right now there's three things in this van that absolutely love single track. Me, Tilly the Spaniel, and a chameleon. Not that chameleon, this one. The Chameleon 7 from Santa Cruz. 549 quid, $749 for the frame. $2,000 for the bike in dollars or pounds. And that's the R1 spec 29er here. They also do a 27.5. Because the key thing with the Chameleon, as the name might suggest, is it's always been an extremely versatile bike. That's quite a lot of pounds or dollars or euros to throw at an aluminium frame. So why would you want to do that? This is the heart of what happens with the Chameleon. You've got two separate chainstay sections there rather than one big yoke. They're asymmetric. This side is actually tapered so it can run as close to the chainring as possible but still retain maximum strength. On the other side it's actually a T-shaped section. T-shaped section. So you've got some extra strength in there where the clearance issues aren't quite as dramatic. You also have no seat stay bridges and you don't have a wishbone either, which is a first for a Santa Cruz hardtail. So there is a lot of room here. As you can see, this 2.3 29er looks skinny. It'll go to a 2.5 in 29 or it'll go to 3" plus with the 27.5 wheel, no problem. But to make sure that doesn't kick the geometry out of kilter, you've got these, not sliding dropouts, they're swinging dropouts. You loosen that and the whole dropout pivots backwards and forwards. It comes with two different dropouts, the 29er and the 27.5, which is a different height by 8mm, and that retains the same geometry. It's a 315mm bottom bracket height and it's a roughly 67-degree head angle up front. As well as these 148 boost dropouts, you also have the option of 142 in single speed, because obviously you can use that backwards and forwards dropout movement to tension the chain. 142 because there aren't many 148 boost single speed hubs out there yet. External gear and brake routing, so it's nice and easy to service. It's got an external bottom bracket, not a press fit one. This is a bike that's properly designed to last, even in weather like we get in Britain. So the build kit, like I say, it's an R1, that's the more expensive of the two bikes. Primarily NX with a raceface AFEC crank, but that's a raceface AFEC crank with an alloy axle, not a steel one which you get on the D-spec bike. Also, there's some neat detail in here. That is an SRAM 1150 cassette, not an 1130, so it runs on an XD driver and it's about 150 grams lighter than the 1130 cassette. You're gonna, you know, that's not the kind of detail that you're going to pick out immediately, but it shows the depth of thinking that's in this bike. The wheel set itself isn't anything incredible, but it's, you know, it's a good solid wheel set. You get Novatec hubs on both wheel build, whether you go for 29 or 27.5. Plus, the difference is you get a WTB rim on here, you get a raceface 40mm rim on the Plus bike. Maxxis tyres on either setup. Good all-round tyres for a great all-round bike. You got raceface ride, bar and stem, you've got SRAM's level T brakes, and you've got a raceface ride seat post. Yes, we know it's not got a dropper. Deal with it. The real winner, in our opinion, is the Fox Rhythm Fork. We've been riding it all year now, and it's an absolute belter. It's only available on complete bikes, but it uses a cheaper architecture, it's a slightly chunkier, simpler lower leg casting, it's a 6000 series stanchion tube, not a 7000 series, and it only comes with a grip damper. But that makes it 200 grams heavier than a standard 34 or 34 Performance, which you might find on slightly more expensive bikes. But truth is, it's just a lot smoother, and it's an absolutely outstanding fork for mid-price bikes. Yes, you could buy a bike that's probably for the same spec from a different brand for half the price, or buy two of the same bike. It doesn't really matter. But what really matters with this one is the ride. So I best go and do that next. And riding the Santa Cruz is where things get tricky for me as a tester, because while there's nothing exceptional on the surface, this bike is an absolute joy to ride. It's an average weight, but it surges like it's a proper little race bike. With a 29er wheel on, it's got that wonderful speed sustain, that little sniff of tailwind, that hint of e-bike that you want from a bigger wheel. I like the fact
that Santa Cruz only offer two, well, in their terms, relatively affordable builds. I mean, you can make any bike feel great by gussying it up with gold forks, gold gears, carbon cockpit. But the mark of a truly great bike is it's like one of those feel-good underdog action hero films. It gets this mix of parts, this disparate band of brothers together, and they just work beautifully as a team. Yeah, SRAM's NX transmission is like the Kalashnikov of gears. It just will not stop working, whatever you do to it. Like I say, Fox Rhythm, what a fork! Forget his price, pals. Forget X-Fusion Sweep. Forget RockShox Yarry. Forget Santa Cruz. All that lot. This is up there with Pike. Factory 34. Just so smooth. Look at it. Take a bow. 34 rhythm. I just can't spell you half the time. We've had bikes up here with a 480mm reach and 64-degree head angle. But the balance of this beast is impeccable. That smoothness from the back end, in fact all the way through the frame, really is remarkable. I keep having to check the tyre pressure because it feels like I've just picked up a flat all the time. But the truth is, Josh and his team at Santa Cruz have done an amazing job of making this a really smooth bike. But the money really comes alive here. Now that section there has been the ruin of the reputation of many a hardcore hardtail in recent times, because that big old fork lets you go in hot, and then the back end just punches you straight in the throat. This 120, yes, it's a belting fork, but it lets you know what's just about to happen. And the bike is light enough and smooth enough to really hold that flow. And like I say, it's set up 29 at the moment, which is the less forgiving format for the bike. But this is genuinely as smooth as any of the super fancy steel rigs I've had down here recently. So yes, a lot of people are going to buy this bike, mainly because it says Santa Cruz on the down tube. But by God, it does that name proud. Whew! Should have had Strava on. Oh, I love this bike. And it's really hard for me to say that because I've got no magic numbers. I've got no ultra high modulus carbon or clever suspension damper to justify it. This is all about being in the right position, in the right frame of mind, and having a right good laugh. Santa Cruz, me and the Spaniel salute you. I'm Guy Kesterman. I'm lucky enough to test the world's best bikes, and this 7th generation Santa Cruz Chameleon is definitely one of them. Go on Tilly, let's get a brew.